Hello everyone. In this part 1 video of solving polynomial inequalities, we will be focusing mainly on the method in which you solve polynomial inequalities. If you're looking for a little more advanced problems, look at my video part 2 of solving polynomial inequalities, where there's a little bit more work involved in first setting up the problem. But in this problem here, problem A, x minus 4 times x plus 2 times 3x minus 1 is less than 0. The problem is already set up so that we can go right to the method that we use to solve a polynomial inequality. And remember, the method is probably goes by different names, but it's essentially a number test. So the number test method is what most teachers use to solve any inequality. It's just easier that way, and it makes more sense. So in this problem, because it's already set up and ready to go, I want to explain first how it is set up and why it is ready to go. So we have on the left side, you have this expression here. Now, I hope you notice that the expression is factored already. So that's one essential thing. Number one, you need to have factors on the left side. And number two, also very important, is that number. You must have 0 on the other side. If there's any other number there, the number test method will not work. Okay? So now, step 1, what you want to first find are what are called the zeros of the left side. And that's why you want a 0 on the right side, because you need the zeros of the function to solve this. So remember, what do? You bring down each factor. Like, for example, x minus 4. Remember, you bring it down, set it equal to 0, solve for x by adding 4, and we have x equals 4 is a 0 of that function. Same idea, bring down the next factor, x plus 2 equals 0. Subtracting 2 will give us x equals negative 2. And then 3x minus 1, set it equal to 0. Add 1, you get 3x equals 1. One more step, divide 3. We get x equals 1 divided by 3 is 1/3. So we have our zeros. And now the next step, which is really the last step, but it involves a little bit of work, all right, is the number test. And in order to do that, you need a number line. So now we're going to set up a number line as straight as I can get it. And I'm going to put the infinity symbols on each end of the line, because they may be useful. And then I found 3 zeros in step 1. I'm going to put those on the number line in order. So x equals negative 2, followed by 1/3, followed by 4. I'm also going to label the right side of the line with a nice x, because that's just x values that we're putting on that line there. Now, on top of the line, we're going to put not the y values, but the sign of the y values. Okay? Now, in this problem, the signs are going to be positive, negative, or no sign at all, which would be 0. So we already have the zeros of the function, the numbers we just placed there. Negative 2 is a 0, 1/3 is a 0, 4 is a 0. Now, those numbers just broke the number line into 4 segments. So we have this segment here between negative infinity and negative 2, this segment, this segment, this segment. Now what you're going to do is pick a number in that segment, and that will be an x value. So pick an x value like negative 3. A nice x value here would be 0. X equals 1 would fit in there, and x equals 5 would fit in there. Don't reuse the values that you already have on the number line, because we know what they are. Their values are 0. All right, now, the next thing you do is you can either do it by hand or go to your handy-dandy calculator and plug in values that we just wrote down. So if you plug in x equals negative 3, we get y equals negative 70. And then when you plug in 0, you get 8. When you plug in 1, you get negative 18. And then when you plug in 5, you get positive 98. Okay? So now what do you do next? On top of the line, all right, remember we're going to just put not the whole y value, we're going to put the sign of the y value. So the y value for this segment was negative 70, so we're going to put a negative sign. Here we had positive 8, negative 18, positive 98. Okay? So now we've completed the number line. Finally, what we want to do is figure out what is the solution based on that number line. So the solution is, well, go back to the top. Go back to where we have our factors and the 0, and focus on this symbol here. What does it mean to be less than 0? Less than 0 means negative only. Negative only. So, going back to my number line, where is it negative only? It's negative only here and here. So the negative signs and even the positive signs represent these segments. So I'm going to shade the segments where I circled the signs that I want. And I need to figure out now, all right, do I use solid points, open points, or brackets, parentheses? So remember, at this point here, all right, we didn't circle that. So this point here is not included. So that means that negative 2 would be an open point or parentheses if you're using interval notation. And on the left side of that, over negative infinity, remember infinity always takes parentheses. So the first part of our solution is simply all values of x such that x is in the interval from infinity to negative 2. Now there's another interval, so we're going to be unioning them. That's a great word, isn't it? I'm going to union them. And now going back to my interval at the top here. So again, right here, I didn't circle that. So that means it's going to be an open point. And also here, I did not circle that. That's going to be an open point. Or parentheses, parentheses. So therefore, my last part of the solution is the interval from 1/3 to 4. And it's customary to put braces around that. And there's your solution. Okay, now, in part B, now the problem is essentially the same exact problem. All right, notice I did not change the left side. I didn't change the 0. The only thing I changed was the inequality. So the nice thing about that is that all the work I just did doesn't change at all. So I still use the same number line with the zeros at negative 2, 1/3, and 4. And then these were zeros, and this was negative, positive, negative, positive. None of that changes, which is nice. All right, so the only thing that changes is the solution set. So what is the solution set? Well, first you have to understand the meaning of this. When you say less than or equal to 0, that means two things. Less than 0 means negative, but then the little bar underneath of that means also equal to 0. So now we're going to circle all the negative signs and all the zeros. So the negative signs are over the segments, so we shade the segments again. Same thing here and here. And this time, since we're including the 0, that's where you use a solid point or a bracket. Same thing here, solid, solid, bracket, bracket. So the solution only changes to what? That the values of x are from negative infinity to negative 2 with a bracket, union, bracket, 1/3 to 4, bracket. Make sure those brackets look like brackets, not parentheses. So that's the only difference between this solution and part A is the use of brackets or no brackets. So this concludes part 1 of solving polynomial inequalities. I hope you found it helpful. I am the Math Musician. Please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Some are math and some are music with me on the piano. Thanks for watching.